Welcome to the St. Anne Parish Podcast, where we bring people to Jesus, form disciples, and send them to transform the world. In today's episode, we continue with the Discern the Church series, featuring testimonies of individuals sharing their journey to the Catholic Church. We hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to the St. Anne Parish Podcast. My name is Nicole Richards, and I'm your host for the Discern the Church series. This series shares personal stories of individuals who have journeyed into the Catholic Church. Today, to tell their story is Rachel Soriano. Welcome, Rachel, to this podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I feel like your story is a little bit famous here at St. Anne because Father Edwin decided to publicize your parents' story and during a homily, which, well, first, it's one of a beautiful story that you and your family have, and what a witness it is for our community. So I'm super excited to hear about your story. Stephanet has said a little bit about your story, but I am just very excited to hear it from you. But so first, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself? You're married, where do you come from? You have a child, what do you do? All these things, a little introduction about you.
Okay, I'll keep it short. I was born in China, and then my parents sent me to New Zealand as an international student by myself when I was 16. And I lived there until 2008, and my parents joined me, so I sponsored their immigration application. And we lived there together until I came to the United States for graduate school in 2016. That's where I met my husband. That's where it all began.
Wait, what state were you in?
In Maryland.
Okay.
We got married in 2021. So shortly after our wedding, we're blessed with our baby, Monica, and she was born in 2022, and then we moved to Texas in 2023. Now I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my husband works at the University of Dallas as professor, a great Catholic institution.
I have a lot of friends who've gone to that college. So let's start kind of from the very beginning. You say you are from China. How was your upbringing? What was your views or experience at all with Christianity? Did you experience any of that growing up? We'll talk about your parents here in a little bit, but this is you personally. How was it like being in China or New Zealand, or did you ever experience Christianity in any way?
China was a communist state. So even though it advertised itself as being open to all religions, but in truth, it's not the case. Basically, communism is the religion there. Anything related to God is taught to us as superstitions. So basically, I have not been exposed to, like in classroom or even like in movies or anything like that, I've not been exposed to Christianity in any way. But when I was maybe 7, 8, 9 years old, I like to listen to the radio. Oh my gosh, that tells me how old I am. I like to listen to the radio going to sleep. And miraculously, I tune into some station that's Mandarin speaking, but I think it's from Taiwan or Singapore. And usually, we're not supposed to be able to tune into such channels. It had children's Bible stories every night. So that's how I first experienced, let's say God.
Yeah.
Story of Noah's Ark and things like that. And I was very, very intrigued. And I think that's the reason why, even though I don't think I know God, but I feel like I know that there is God, that was never a question for me. Whereas for my parents, they're a little more brainwashed.
Yeah. So what would be considered that next part of your story where you kind of experience Christianity later on in life?
I think the next part of the story would be after I met my husband.
Okay.
And we became friends. He's a cradle Catholic. He's from a very faithful family. His grandmothers, I just love them so much. And grandma goes to mass every day and she says rosary with her friends every day. I like to think that I married him for his grandmother.
Very prayerful grandmother.
Yes. So we became friends, and obviously during grad school, there were a lot of very stressful times. He tries to be as a supportive and comforting friend as much as possible, but there are times when he really has no other solution but to turn to prayer. So listening to some of his prayers, and he even gave me this little prayer book, and I still have it. It's my beloved prayer book. That's the first time when I really felt like my heart and soul were touched more concretely by God the Father, Blessed Mother Mary, and our Lord Jesus. And that's when I started finding out a little more about the faith, the Trinity, just through reading. And then because of that, I started going to Mass with him. And that was already a transforming moment, just being there. I think now I know that's because of the presence, the real presence of our Lord. Of course, I'm going to, feel the Spirit and everything. But at the time, I just thought it was music. I'm like, oh, why do I feel so, goosebump everywhere? I just want to cry, tears running down. Everything is so beautiful. There's something very special. And of course, then we started dating and decided to get married, but get engaged. And I thought, yeah, I kind of like this thing that he's into. I think I want to be part of it. Yeah, so that's when I started my RCIA program in Maryland. At the campus ministry.
Were there harder concepts to learn about the Catholic Church? There doesn't have to be if there isn't.
I tried to look back. I guess I wasn't, as good a student as my parents. I don't feel like I had such struggle. Yeah, of course, for example, the Trinity is, one God, three persons. That's always hard for everyone. I felt like I was very accepting. Okay, I may not understand everything, but, I try my best and the rest is faith.
Yeah. Do you remember what your Easter vigil was like? Did you come in through Easter vigil or did you come in from like a different mass?
I really wanted to, but it was the beginning of the pandemic. It's year 2020.
Yes. Okay.
And I remember the rite of election took place and I was very excited. But then before Easter, everything was shut down and but our priest was doing everything he can to try and make it happen. And so finally he organized something in June. So it's very selective. It's only the candidates and their immediate families who are invited, and everybody was wearing masks. I was thinking, should I wait? My parents can now come and attend this very, very special event in my life. But I prayed and I feel like I was told, hey, don't wait. No, you do not want to wait. Yeah. If you want to, let them witness something, let them witness how you live a Christian life, rather than, have them at a ceremony. So yes, I was baptized and confirmed on the 27th of June in 2020. A very special ceremony with mass.
All right. So what was life like after you received all your sacraments? And I know COVID kind of met, is COVID. Everyone knows about that. What did life look like after?
Very exciting. I think a little too exciting because, in summary, I was in such a hurry. I received all the sacrament there is within 1 year of my baptism. And the reason is because in September, out of nowhere, I just suddenly had a seizure. The September after the June baptism.
Okay.
Mass. So I was rushed to the hospital and they did a CAT scan because I had no prior symptoms whatsoever. The doctor just came, had a long sigh and said, you have a brain tumor the size of a golf ball.
Oh my gosh.
And I was alone there because it's COVID time. And my fiance then, he couldn't go with me and my family. I don't have family here apart from his family, which is my family too. So that was a really scary experience. I remember that was a Monday night. And Tuesday morning when I woke up, I had another seizure. So I guess the medical team quickly decided, okay, she's gonna, go into this like frequent seizure kind of problem. So the doctor came and told me, we're gonna give you a surgery and take it out on Friday. And
that's so fast.
Yes. From the moment I was rushed to the hospital until sometime after my surgery, I just wasn't able to see anyone, like including my fiance and my family. I didn't tell my family until a year later because I considered, okay, they cannot travel. What can they do? They'll be just so stressed out and so scared. So I didn't tell that to my parents. Only my husband knows at the time, and he told his family. And my in-laws just rushed down from New Jersey overnight and drove down and just took care of, us because he was basically just collapsing. Like, what?
So worried about you.
Yeah, we didn't know whether it was benign or anything. So the days leading up to the surgery began in a very scary way. And I didn't know what to do with myself. Back then, I didn't have a regular prayer life yet. So I Googled, St. Ignatius is my confirmation saint. So I stumbled upon his prayer called Suscipe, which is kind of like a surrender prayer. So basically, all I did all day long between Tuesday and Friday was praying that prayer. And just by God's grace, I still cannot believe to this day I was not scared. I had peace. I was able to think through some of the different scenarios. What if I don't make it on the surgery table? God just poured out his grace and it's incredible. And then I went to surgery and then I was in ICU for a few days. That was also quite an experience because I felt like in the dark, I was actually cradled by some big being. And every time I felt like I was very, very exhausted and falling into the darkness, I felt like someone was breathing air into me. I was coming back up again. That was just so incredible. Then I woke up and saw my fiance, and he's there, and I wasn't sure, okay, how are you doing? Yeah, it wasn't until a long time afterwards he shared with me what a hard time it was for him.
Yeah.
But then he was just this figure of faith and hope and love, just everything a husband is supposed to be. I was thinking, is he still going to marry me?
After all this.
You think about it, he had this young, healthy, in the same graduate school, like hopeful person that he's getting married to. But all of a sudden, she became so sick. We don't know how much life he has left in her. And also I woke up from the surgery half paralyzed. The entire left side was not moving. We also didn't know if that was going to be a forever reality or not. To be honest, I feel like I wasn't going to blame him too much if he said, okay, like maybe this is not for me. And this is also, related to my parents' conversion. They thought, someone could easily just walk away from that situation, but he really chose not to. And my parents just felt like that's impossible. What great love can make a person do that? So we were waiting for the biopsy report for almost a month. It was a scary time. And we talked a lot, had a lot of deep conversations, life and future and what should we do? And I said, I want you to get married to someone else, not me. Therefore, I want you to have a family. I know that's the most important thing you've always talked about. That's what you want in life. So I don't want to take anything away from you. And he said, no. If there's any bad news, we're bringing a priest. I'll marry you right here by the bedside. Yeah, so that was, quite an opportunity for me to see the man I've chosen.
Yeah, you chose a good one. And what qualities like him are you already practicing, like the marriage vows,
Yes.
Did you leave the hospital right away? What was the recovery process like?
I was in the medical center for a week or 10 days. And then I was sent to a acute rehab center. There, I have had other incredible experience with God too. I remember waking up still, not having the left side mobility and thinking, life is pretty depressing, I remember waking up early every morning, seeing the sunrise, seeing the trees and garden outside of my window. I was feeling the beauty of God's creation. I was filled with peace and joy, which I didn't think was possible because that was one of the hardest times in my life. I felt his presence, his grace, and my husband being a very supportive person, his family, they kept me feeling hopeful, and therefore my recovery process was quick and amazing. So I gained most of my left side back, and even though the diagnosis was cancer, fortunately, it's a low-grade cancer. And together as a family, we've been taking the situation very positively, prayerfully, and we're blessed with a miracle baby. And I think without God, all of this was not possible. Life is great because we oriented ourselves towards God every day.
Did your parents know about your hospital experience?
Now they do.
Okay, so when did you tell them? Did they know that you had converted to Catholicism?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
that they didn't know. I was careful in sharing this news with them because I know my dad was a very hardcore atheist. I wasn't sure how they're going to react, so I was kind of gentle. Oh, this is what I want, but you guys, I would recommend that you come along and take a look at what we do, but I'm not gonna push you. But deep in my heart, I've set an agenda. Like this is the ultimate truth. I'm taking them with me.
Yeah. So what were their views on Christianity? Like, how were they raised? What was their upbringing like?
So they were more thoroughly brainwashed than I have been. That there is no God, no supernatural being. My dad even had to probably take some training because there are times the Communist Party, they keep very close watch on any public gathering, and therefore mass and any Catholic gathering were closely watched. And they would send officers to go and keep order. Therefore, they have to give reasons, as to why we need to control these people. And so they had to learn, okay, why, these things are considered superstition, and, how everything was basically a lie. Yeah,
So they would allow Catholic Mass to happen?
Back then, underground.
Okay.
Yes.
So your dad kind of like monitored these masses?
He sometimes was sent with the team
Okay.
to go and keep order, which, I think monitoring is a fair word. And therefore, he was thoroughly indoctrinated with this no God theory. Everything is superstition. There's no supernatural being. And my mom has always been a very spiritual person, but she does not want to get into trouble, because in China you can get into trouble for anything. And also my dad is strong-headed and he believes in this no God business. Therefore, I'd say, both of them believe that there was no God.
Okay. When do you think that your parents were interested in kind of this faith that you have suddenly come into?
So given the timing, when I was going through the RCIA program, my parents visited once in 2019 because I got engaged. And I brought them to Mass with me. And my dad actually, later he told me he felt the same as I did. Like he had tears running down his face and he felt like there's something very special. They were curious in the beginning, so after they came to Mass with me in 2019, after a visit, they went back to New Zealand, they started reading the Gospels just to find out a little more. Because for them, it's a completely foreign and new concept. The real moment of shock came when they came for my wedding in 2021. Yes, a year later after my surgery. And that's when I told them about my surgery and my illness. And they were just in such complete shock. But later on, when I asked them what moved your heart and what made you want to convert, and they said 2 reasons. One, it was because my firsthand account of what I experienced during that time, medical procedure and the cradling by a very great being and all that. And 2, it was because of my husband and his family, just how they acted during that time. And the peace and hope my husband and I together demonstrated. They just thought it was incredible. My parents were truly moved, and it really helped their conversion process. It helped their discernment. Just couldn't believe that there are people so great, so kind, who would do that for someone that's not their family. They feel like the love came from somewhere.
Yeah, like radically loving one another. Yeah, and that's a very strong witness no matter who you are, right? Some people say that people that love radically are more attractive. Like there's something about them that like draws you in. Yeah, we were talking about your husband's grandma, right? Like I'm sure she's like the same way. You can't help but love her.
She's so charming.
Yeah. Prayer warrior will do anything for you. Okay, so they've like witnessed this like radical love of your husband's family, and just like everything about this, I'm sure kind of stirs this idea of maybe there might be a God. So where did their journey start moving forward?
They first started visiting me 6 months every year because of our baby. They love being with their grandparents, and they were very helpful. So they visited Maryland a couple of times, and they started visiting Texas as well after we moved. All this time, I was trying to find them an opportunity to just learn more. Even if they go through the RCIA experience without converting, they would have discerned, and that's a decision, but I want them to have the opportunity. Strangely enough, in Maryland, where there is a much larger Chinese population, I wasn't able to find anything for them. And after we moved to Texas, I sort of looked and wasn't able to find anything myself. And I was thinking, what can I do? So I started praying, praying very hard. And then one day that small voice came to me, okay, you can keep praying, but you got to take action,
Yeah.
So then we're already parishioners at St. Anne. So I looked up the OCIA program and found the director's name and contacted her. And we had a meeting. So I explained our situation, and she was just so extremely helpful. She said, okay, I'm onto this, just leave it with me. Soon she gave me the contact information of there is a Chinese parish in Dallas area. It's called the Sacred Heart of Jesus.
Yeah.
Chinese parish. So I took my parents for a visit there and explained our situation to them. They were very welcoming. However, they don't have an official OCIA program. Anyhow, my parents started having weekly meetings with one of their Bible study group. And I think it's because of the devotion that my parents and I showed. One of the parishioners there just contacted someone he knows who used to be a parishioner at the Chinese parish, but now a parishioner at St. Anne. Her name is Mary. Lovely name. Mary is a registered catechist, and she speaks both English and Mandarin. And so the gentleman who introduced us obviously thought, she might have a way to help us, but he didn't know how exactly to work. He just, put us together. And when we met up with Mary, I explained our situation, and I think Mary and I had the same idea. What if we get my parents to attend the St. Anne program, but she would be the translator for them? So we brought this idea together to Savannah. And she said, to my surprise, I just didn't think it was possible. But Savannah said, yeah, we'll make this work. Yes. So that's how it began. And my parents, they were so lucky. I just cannot. This is such a divine providence. I still, how did this even happen? There's this person right here. It's a very unique situation. But yeah, God provides.
Yeah.
Mary did an incredible job, and all the materials we have here in English, she translated them into Chinese. There's a lot of material she translated, and she got someone from the Chinese parish to edit all of the materials and had them printed out and bind in folders and provided the material to my parents. And they met weekly and spent hours every week. And my parents missed no part. I was able to attend some of their sessions just to make sure, they're doing their work.
to help them out, monitor them. So they go through this program. Did they have, I guess, talking points about Christianity that they had maybe a harder time? I feel like it would be very hard to go from no existence to God to now Catholicism out of all religions. What were your parents' thoughts throughout the process?
You're absolutely right. Going from no God to God was a big struggle, especially for my dad. He told me afterwards, he said, I battled with the concept on and off for almost 2 years. So it started like earlier, even when he just started reading the gospel after I brought him to Mass. And all this time he's been thinking very deeply about it because he sees how serious I am with my faith. And, he says, I do trust in you. So going from no God to God was a big challenge. And then going from who God is, the three persons. He struggled with that for months. He was asking everybody, all the questions. I don't understand. Is it like this? Is it like that? My mom, I guess, she and I share more similar personality. We're just more accepting. It's a mystery, but, these are the things we can say about it. And, if we're not capable of understanding, we just have to take a leap of faith. Those are the more difficult things. And I've heard them say many times in their class, Jesus is such a great person. Why does he have to die?
Yeah, that's very true.
I guess it's just a sentiment like, we love him. He loves us so much. I wish he didn't have to die.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful idea to think about. But we also know the end of the story, right? He rises and he comes back to life. And what would you say this would be from like September to April? Okay.
I think it was in August. They started watching the Alpha.
Yeah. Don't they have that in Mandarin?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That is the one thing for Mary didn't have to translate.
Yeah. I was like, they have that in like all different languages. I talk about Alpha a lot on this podcast series, and it's a good starting point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Sacramental Prep, I guess, was translated along the way. And then the scrutinies.
Yes. Mary went to every single rite, every single ceremony with them.
That's so cool. And then we get to Easter Vigil. So what was the Easter Vigil like leading up to it? All the baptisms, were you there?
Yes.
Okay.
I was at everything too. It was so incredible to see my parents growing in their faith. And like I said, they were much better students than I was. Like way before they started, way before their sacraments, they already started building a prayer life. And it was just touching to see.
Yeah.
I had always been worried that after discernment, they would choose not to convert. So I was nervous all along. And I remember saying to Savannah a few weeks beforehand, I said, finally, soon, it's coming up. But I'm still so anxious and nervous. And Savannah said, it's okay. It's going to happen. But my parents just seemed incredibly calm and joyful. And they did tell me, can't wait. And all of that came as a surprise. What can I say? It's all just really with God. Everything is possible. I really did not think it was possible. Even though I didn't think it was possible, but I just wanted it so bad, and I prayed and prayed. I just wanted to believe that it's possible. It's, possible, not possible, possible, not possible.
I think maybe God calling you to trust him a little bit, during that time.
Yes, definitely. So yes, they were joyful. And I wasn't so nervous to the point that I felt nauseous every day for like 2 weeks. Yes, the visual was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So what does life look like now after? Like, do your parents still come to Mass with you?
Yes. They go to the Chinese parish every other week, and they come here every other week. Mm. They wanted to make sure they come and see Father Edwin. My dad calls him the number one. They just adore him. I think he's funny. He's very inspiring, and even though they still don't understand a word he's saying.
That's so sweet. I think my last question for you is: did you ever think that you would be speaking on behalf of your parents' conversion? Is that something that you ever thought in life that you would be doing?
You know how I said possible, impossible, that struggle. If you ask me, did I ever? That's a past tense. Up until that Saturday, there is a part of me that just still couldn't believe it. But I know, God did it. That it's right there in front of me. So did I? No, I didn't. But now here I am. Yeah. I'm doing it, right? I'm at lost of words, really. Yes, I didn't think it was possible, especially my dad.
Yeah.
But prayer works. Prayer, just always pray.
Yeah.
God always answers.
Yay, I love that. What are some advice that you would give to someone who is discerning the church?
Pray. Pray all the time. Pray every day. Because look, our story, we're standing at the other end. So it seems like, okay, the prayers were answered and, we're here. But in the process, like I said, I always wondered, is it possible? Is it not possible? So even if you feel like, okay, I'm not sure and this is so uncertain. Am I getting an answer? Am I not getting an answer? What is this answer? Just keep praying. And also quieten your heart and listen. God is there. God is talking to you. Sometimes you'll feel like your prayer is not answered. Sometimes it'll feel like it's not going to happen. It's not meant to be. But he has the perfect plan for everyone and, the perfect timing. Just pray.
I mean, just me being a cradle Catholic, even that message of just pray is super important.
Remember also to take some actions. There's no cost seeking information. I mean, if you're already thinking about it, come and join the Alpha series, and it's so informative. And just join the program. Come to class, and you'll find out so much more.
Yeah. I agree. And Alpha is such a great place to start. There's so much good that comes out of Alpha as a good starting point for general Christianity. So with that said, thank you so much, Rachel, for being on this podcast and sharing your story and your parents' story. Speaking on behalf of your parents' story, who do not speak any English, but through you, their story is being told. So thank you for sharing your witness with us. We will see you next episode. Bye. Do you want to say bye?
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the St. Anne Parish Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you or someone that you know is looking to learn more about the Catholic Church, reach out to us at stanneparish.org/RCIA. God bless.